Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with another live update. Thursday evening, 7:35 p.m. here in Spain. And we'll go through some of the news and some of the comments that have caught my attention on the channel in recent times and have a bit of a chat about those. Now, straight into the chat section here. Plenty of activity already. Simon coming in from Fuerteventura, Simon. Spelling's a bit wrong there with the name. Enjoying VAT-free fuel and €5 whiskey, apparently down there. One of the cheaper parts of the country, Simon, as we know, the Canary Islands. Gino coming in from Toronto, I think, Canada. Brian coming in from a pleasant La Marina, 27 degrees down there today, 27 degrees Celsius. The nice weather holding on in that part of Spain at least. The rest of the country's been a bit wet, wild and woolly. And Margaret also saying that in her part of Spain, cold weather with Endesa, 2 hours free electric each day. You have to pay more for the other hours. We do our washing, dishwasher in that time. Yeah, complicated to work out the electricity system in this country and the gas system. There's all of these different tariffs and times that you can turn things on. It's just very, very complicated. I wish they would just simplify the system, make it easy for everyone to understand, and not have people trying to change in order to get cheaper electric rates and so forth. But it is what's going on at the moment with these companies, as we know, very powerful companies here in Spain, these ones. All right, good. The first piece of news today, the government again arguing with its coalition, the PSOE party arguing with its coalition partner Podemos because of a law that has been interpreted differently by judges to what the government wanted. The government coalition tries to avoid a new confrontation with the only yes is yes law. The Asian tour is proving as turbulent for Pedro Sanchez in domestic affairs as his recent trip to Latin America was for Alberto Núñez Feijóo, if not more so. The president of the government has not fared well in recent days. The fronts inside and outside the government coalition are piling up for Sanchez, who was already attending the G20 summit in Indonesia and the official visit to South Korea in the midst of a political storm with the opposition over the reform of the crime of sedition. The president's ambiguity on the possible modification of embezzlement in the penal code without clarifying whether it would benefit those convicted of corruption who have not personally enriched themselves has opened another spigot that the PSOE itself does not know how to interpret. The reduction of sentences for sexual offenders of minors in the application of the law to guarantee sexual freedom, or the only yes is yes law, in force since October the 7th, has caught the government off guard in a highly sensitive issue that affects children, as is one of the major laws of the ministries run by Podemos. And we can see here that the stricter rape law to be reviewed after being used to reduce some jail sentences. So this is where the problem is. Spain is to review a new law to give victims of sexual offences more protection after a series of court rulings led to prison sentences being reduced for offenders because of a loophole in the legislation. The law came into force last month, 6 years after what became known as the Wolfpack case, in which 5 men gang raped an 18-year-old woman in the Pamplona bull running festival, but were at first handed a lesser sentence for the crime of sexual abuse. This case prompted demonstrations across Spain and led the government to change the criminal law on sexual offences, known as the Yes Means Yes law. The new legislation qualifies any non-consensual sex as rape, bringing Spain into line with 11 other European countries, including Britain, Sweden and Portugal. However, lawyers for convicted sex offenders used the loophole in the law, which allowed for a general reduction of jail sentences when new criminal legislation comes into force in Spain. So this new law making the headlines at the moment because basically the government got it wrong, and that loophole which is being exploited by lawyers around the country, and sex offenders are getting their sentences reduced. And this has led to a problem between the justice system and the Podemos party. The Minister for Equality, the Podemos Minister Irene Montero, yesterday called judges fascists in robes, also accused them of being hating women, and a lot of other adjectives that she threw at them yesterday. Various people on both sides of politics have asked her to resign because of those words, and obviously they stuffed up the law when they put it through. Apparently, judges warned of this problem, didn't listen to it because they were keen to get their star policy through the parliament, and as we can see, this is what's going on here now. So as I said, some sex offenders who had been sentenced to 5 or 6 years jail have had their sentences reduced, and the Podemos side of the government is not happy about this. But it just goes to show that when you run these things through the law without checking all of the boxes and crossing the T's and dotting the I's, this is what can happen, and we're seeing it firsthand here in Spain currently. All right, what's going on here in the chat section? Let's have a look. Barbara coming in from Playa Flamenca. Another lovely day there, so cold in some parts, warm in others at the moment. What else we got going on here? Philip coming in from La Trinidad, Malaga capital. 25 degrees, also good weather in Malaga, good to see. Alan coming in from a warm San Diego. Prasen coming in from the Arctic Circle, north of the Arctic Circle. The chef in one of the eateries is from Almeria, and he cooked Spanish migas earlier today. So there we go. Spanish cooks, even in places like the Arctic Circle, some of the most remote parts of the world, you will find a Spanish chef cooking Andalusian migas. All right, Steve coming in from a lovely day in Tarazona, Aragon. A bit windy, probably normal that part of Spain. The strong winds, windy here as well today, Steve. Gloria coming in from Los Angeles, finally made a live stream. Hello, Gloria. Hope all is well. I read the other day that you're planning a trip to Spain soon, to live in Spain, I think. So let us know how you get on with that. Nico coming in from the Delta del Ebro in Catalonia. And Michelle coming in from a rainy, pouring with rain in Vigo in the northwest of the country. Again, typical for this time of the year as those Atlantic storms come into Spain through that part of the country. Now, we're up to 32 likes. I'll put the little like icon on the screen. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do so just below the video, and we'll see if we can get up to a decent tally of likes today. We will see. Now, let's have a look at another piece of news. This one here. Bank movements, a suspicious analysis, and the bar camera. This is how the croquette crime, El Crimen de la Croqueta, was solved. A woman tried to poison her ex-husband with a croquette. She laced the food with psychotropic drugs to sedate him. It all started like this. Maria Belén and Juan Carlos had been separating for a month. The couple met in a bar in Zaragoza to talk about the agreement. They sat down, ordered some tapas, and when the man got up to go to the bar, she took the opportunity to poison him. Agents from the National Police claim that the woman put a drug in the croquette. He claims that he noticed a strange taste but did not give it any importance. After their meeting, Maria Belén accompanied him home. After some time, he began to feel unwell, and he does not remember anything until the following day, as explained by an agent of the National Police. To Juan Carlos's astonishment, he soon discovered that he has 27,000 euros less in the bank, with the money transferred to 4 of his ex-wife's accounts. So there we go, the croquette crime, El Crimen de la Croqueta, which has been making headlines here as well at the moment. And police able to solve the crime, thankfully, because they had a camera in the bar, and they saw the woman tampering with the croquette when the man got up to go to the toilet or to order something at the bar, something like that. But premeditated, obviously. She went into the bar thinking that she was going to do this and take all of that money out of his bank account, 27,000 euros. So again, be careful when you get divorced, what your partner might be thinking. And that's what old Juan Carlos here found out firsthand when he got a poisoned croquette. And I like croquetas. It's one of my favorite things here in this country, especially if you get a good croqueta. A lot of bars and restaurants don't do them very well. They tend to fry them in bad oil and they're a little bit soggy, not very tasty. But if you get a good croqueta de jamón or a good cod croquette de bacalao. Very, very tasty indeed. And quite often you'll get a croqueta as a tapa here in Spain. They'll put down a couple of croquetas on the plate when you order a drink. So tasty Spanish food. Not sure if it originated in Spain, the croqueta, but very, very popular here nonetheless. What else we got going on? Tony coming in from a cold Ashford in the UK. Andrew coming in from a cold and wet, windy London. Alan coming in from the UK also. Jose Antonio coming in from the Royal City. Stan coming in from, I think, Poland, if you're still in Poland, Stan. And Socorreva coming in from Albuquerque, New Mexico in the United States. And Babs coming in from Wales. All regular viewers today here watching the live stream, which is good to see. Now, we'll get into another piece of news. This one here. Actually, what I'll do first is change the backdrop. I'll put up a different backdrop, as I remember to do. This one here from Brian, who's watching. I think it's, let me have a look here. Tabarca, which I imagine is down there in Alicante somewhere. Couldn't get the crop right on this photo, unfortunately. Brian couldn't get the building cropped in the background, so we've just got basically a water shot, but better than nothing. But thanks for sending in the picture. And remember, if you've got a picture to send in that you would like to see on the backdrop there, spainspeaks@gmail.com. Send them in if you have a pic of Spain that you would like to see featured here. All right, Dirk coming in from Villajoyosa in Alicante. Makish coming in from a grey London apparently there. And Philip coming in from with his dad Harry from a very wet and windy Northumberland, England. And Sam coming in from Seville also saying that it's a bit chilly there this evening. And as I said, it is wet and windy in some parts of the country, especially here in Madrid. We've got a fair bit of rain over the last few days, which is good. I'm not complaining because it has been very, very dry for the last 6 months or so. Now, another piece of news. Europe's cheapest and most attractive city is in Spain. The German booking platform Omio has compiled a list of the most interesting European cities to travel to without hurting your wallet more than necessary. With inflation skyrocketing and prices skyrocketing, it is interesting to identify cheap holiday destinations, and Spain has been crowned the king of affordable cities with 4 capitals in the top 10 of the list. At the top of the list is Granada, Europe's leading city in terms of value for money. The authors of the study rated its offer of 112 free activities and access to 60 other iconic sites at affordable prices. Entry to the Alhambra, for example, costs between 5 and 14 euros, a bargain compared to the prices of similar tourist attractions in major European capitals. More examples, a tour with the city's tourist bus costs 9 euros, and the average price for beer in any of the city's 86 bars and clubs is 2.50 euros. So there we go. Granada, Europe's cheapest and most attractive city to visit at the moment, with skyrocketing prices and skyrocketing inflation. And European inflation figures have been published, over 10%, and UK inflation figures also published around 11%, I believe. So inflation rocketing and skyrocketing, and people looking for cheap holidays. Granada, number 1 on the list, and 4 other cities, which I think are also in Andalusia. Cordoba, I think, was mentioned, maybe Malaga as well, maybe Cádiz. So if you're looking for a cheap holiday, not necessarily going to the coastal areas, head to a city like Granada, where you'll get a beer for only 2.50, which is pretty cheap. All right, good. Especially with nowadays prices, pretty cheap. Okay, what else we got going on here? Tobias coming in from the States. Been to the doctor today. Hope all is well, Tobias. Apparently nothing too bad, which is good to see. Remy coming in from Saint Feliu. Jayop coming in from Wisconsin. And City fan Daryl coming in from Barcelona. And we've got a viewer today from Argentina, Emeralda Abroad. Thank you for joining the live stream today. And Chris also coming in from Alora, down there in the Valle del Sol. Now the word of the day, saludable. A very important word nowadays. Healthy. Hay que intentar llevar una vida saludable. Good advice. Try to lead a healthy life. And that's what I try to do, basically, to try to be as saludable, as healthy as I can be, not eating too much of any one thing, try not to drink too much alcohol, too many beers, too many glasses of wine. Very easy to get caught in that trap here in Spain with the price of alcohol, as we saw in the Canaries, 5 bottles for a bottle of whiskey. Not sure what the quality of the whiskey would be, but still very, very cheap and difficult to control for a lot of people, alcohol intake, especially with those cheap prices. And when it comes to diet as well, trying to keep off the fatty foods, trying to eat a healthy diet, una dieta saludable. So the word of the day here, saludable, healthy. If you don't know it already, try to incorporate it into your Spanish vocabulary. All right, good. Now back into the chat section. Let's have a look and see if we can find something interested here. Daryl saying that these law people should not be allowed to abuse these loopholes. They have less morals than a PA on heat. Yeah, the problem, Daryl, is that lawyers are taking the cases back to the courts, asking for judges to apply this new rule and regulation. And of course, by law, they are obliged to do it. Apparently, the Podemos party is saying that judges should act more based on moral standards rather than the law, and not allow these people to get reductions in their sentences. But that's not what they're doing, and that's where part of the argument lies. So thanks for the input there, Daryl. What else we got going on here? Pat, hope you are staying warm. Stu says, Pat, trying to, Pat. I've got the heating on during the day. I've put in a new, how would you say it? It's one of these new Wi-Fi thermostats, which I control from my phone. Every time I leave home, it tells me that I'm away and the heating goes off. When I am home, it tells me that I'm back home again, so the heating goes back on again. So quite good, and it seems to be a lot better than the previous thermostat that I had, which was a manual one. So this one here controlled from the app, and quite intelligent, and it's proving to be quite efficient so far. But again, we'll see when the first bill arrives for the winter with the gas, Pat, as we know, which can be a bit steep. So we'll see. Alan is predicting that Argentina will win the World Cup. Thank you very much, Alan, for that prediction. I'm sure that Spanish fans would not agree with you. Australia's there playing as well, so maybe we're in with a chance, the Aussies, to at least get maybe to the next round, past the first round if we're lucky. Elaine coming in from Chatham, New Jersey. Del Bosque Bear flying out to Europe soon. Excited is Belinda. Hope you have a good trip, Belinda, on the plane. Comfortable. And what else we got going on here? Carmen Martin likes the videos. Thank you very much, Carmen, for that. And Makish agreeing that croquetas are amazing if they are well done, Makish, of course. Nothing worse than a bad croqueta. And sometimes they can be a little bit over-fried or refried in dodgy oil. So you've got to be careful in some of those bars, especially the fritanga bars. That could be another word of the day, fritanga. All right, good. First comment from Manj Mau. I think it is obvious why Spain fails at English compared to other countries. Spanish people tend to have a lot of pride over their language and are very stubborn and headstrong about accepting a new one. One such example is their persistence to have any form of media dubbed in Spanish, which in my opinion is horrible considering there are only 12 people that do all the voices for every instance, making Arnold or Stallone sound just like everybody else. Blasphemy, says Manj Mao. Yeah, Spanish dubbing, a topic for another day. But it is true that a lot of the actors repeat the voices. So, for example, Kevin Costner. I remember back in the day, Kevin Costner and Bruce Willis was the same actor. So you would be in another room listening to the television and you would say, there's a Bruce Willis film on. And you'd go in and it was, Kevin Costner, or the same guy did John Wayne and Clint Eastwood or something, or Clint Eastwood and another couple of actors. So that's always been one of the complaints when it comes to dubbing. But the industry is very, very strong, and it was set up back in the day by the Franco government, I believe, as a way of controlling what was said in those movies. So, for example, if there was something that the regime back in the day didn't like, they would just put something else in and nobody was any wiser. And I think that industry grew and grew and grew, and we've got to the stage now where it's even gone into the other language parts of Spain. So, for example, in Catalonia, there's a big dubbing industry there. In the Basque Country as well, Galicia as well, where they have different languages, not only Castellano, Spanish. They are, a lot of actors are making a living dubbing into those languages also. But now with the Netflixes and the Movistar TV and all of the digital services, there are translations, or you can change the language in a lot of these programs nowadays. So we are improving in that sense. But for many years, it was impossible to watch a movie in anything but Spanish here, because everything was dubbed, which is the opposite in Portugal. In Portugal, they only seem to dub children's programs. The rest of the foreign content is normally in the original language. So, you'll be quite often sitting in a coffee shop in Portugal having a coffee, watching the television with no sound, and people are just reading the Portuguese subtitles. But here in Spain, of course, that is not the case. Good. Now, what else we got going on here in the chat section? Carmen lives in Spain. Hello, Carmen. Diablo, back. Haven't seen you for a while, Diablo. I was thinking about that earlier. I haven't seen you in the chat section here for a while, but good to see you back. Mark coming in from wet Stanford, returning to Murcia in a couple of weeks. Hope you guys have a good trip back to Murcia. The weather won't be too bad, hopefully. What else we got going on here? City fans Daryl still hoping for rain in Barcelona. Hasn't been any there for a while, but predicted apparently. But pigs will fly, according to Daryl. Asparagus croquettes are very creamy, says Remy. Yeah, lots of variation now with croquetas. They're not the typical ham croquetas anymore. Lots of variation around different bars and restaurants in the country, which is also good to see. People experimenting with the croquetas. And Brian from Mansfield, back in Benalmádena next week for a winter break. Glass of wine watching the world go by. Heaven. Well, I hope you have a good trip back to Spain next week, Brian, and the weather is decent for you down there. Now I'm going to change the backdrop. This one here from Steppenwolf, Almeria. I'm not sure if I put this one up before, but it is a nice sunset going over the back of the mountains down there, and a bit of a change to remind us of how lovely those sunsets down there in places like Almeria can be. So thank you very much for that one. Now, another comment. Let's have a look. Always learning. I've been trying to get my NEI number for 3 months. Still can't get an appointment. Shite. If I can't even get past this hurdle, then everything more complex will be hell. I'm seriously thinking of elsewhere. Yeah, not sure what the problem is with the number. So you're having trouble getting the number or the TIE card? Not sure, because I thought the number was a lot easier to get, but according to Always Learning, that is not the case. Now, if anybody else is in a similar situation, having trouble getting that NIE number, please let us know in the chat section, and we'll try and work out what the problem is. But I haven't gone through this process for a long, long time. I did it all when I first came more than 20 years ago, so I'm not really up to speed on what the processes are like nowadays. But I always thought that it was easier to get the number, and then it was another thing to get the card. So, and I thought it was basically automatic when you applied for residency from a European country that you would get that number, because it's essential to be able to open a bank account and things like that. And to get a lot of things done, you need to have that NIE number, the foreigner's number. But as I said, if anybody else is having problems similar to Always Learning here, please let them know that they're not alone in that quest to get the number. Once you do get the number, everything else should be easier. Hopefully you won't come up against too many more bureaucratic walls, but there could be a bit of a backlog. I've heard that in Portugal there's a backlog getting numbers. Here in Spain there could be a backlog as well. So as I said, if anybody else is in the same situation, let us know in the chat section. All right, what else we got going on here? Benidorm 25 degrees today also. Good weather down there. What else we got going on here? Healthable, says Jose Antonio. No, healthable doesn't exist. No, saludable. No, healthy would be the word. Although people could be tempted to write the word healthable. What else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Ed just started listening regularly. Loved the relaxed mood. Thank you very much, Ed. Hope to continue to see you here. What else we got going on? Let's have a look if I can find something. Cardman says, thanks for mentioning her. No problems, Cardman. Thank you, as I said before, for joining us today. Hope to see you back again. Chris thinks that England will win the World Cup. And he also believes that the llamas, or llamas as they call them in Spanish, are really zebras in llama or llama costumes. And the moon is made of belly button fluff. So there we go. England not in with much of a chance, according to Chris. But you never know. Everybody can win a World Cup if they have a good competition. And I thought the England team might be decent at the moment. You know, doing quite well in cricket at the moment, but is that not the case in football, Chris? Let us know. All right, what else we got going on? Cudman says that she thinks Spain will win the World Cup. There we go. So people putting their predictions in. We've got Argentina, according to Alan, Cudman Spain, and Chris not saying England. What else we got going on here? Brian pays €1.50 or £1.50 for a glass of Rioja. How much now in a typical bar? It's what they used to pay. Brian, around $2.50, I would say, depending on where you go. If you go to an upper class restaurant or bar, they can charge you a little bit more, from around $2.20, $2.50 for a glass of Rioja. Rioja, again with the spelling, Rioja with a J. Now let's have a look at another comment. This one here. Dark Lord, Pedro Sanchez has lost his mind thinking digital nomads will benefit Spain. We Mexicans have a lot of them in our capital, only raising the cost of living and spreading inflation. All these people do is take advantage of the low cost of living and making it worse for others. Also, who cares about English skills? Everyone should stop making it like English is mandatory and you are considered uneducated if you don't know it. Yeah, good point. With the digital nomad visa that's going to be passed through the Senate shortly, and hopefully will be ready for, or a lot of people are hoping, of course, that it will be ready early January, and people looking to take advantage of that digital nomad visa. The exact details are not known, but some rough details, I think, have been published. We talked about it yesterday. But Dark Lord saying there that digital nomads perhaps are not a good idea. They increase rents. They increase the cost of living, increase inflation, according to Dark Lord. So is there any truth in that? I don't know. I don't really have anything to do with digital nomads, to be honest. I don't go into the cafes where they frequent. I'm not sure how many are living in Madrid doing the digital nomad thing, or Barcelona. I've heard there are quite a few. Canary Islands, I've heard, is also popular, but I'm sure that the country will be inundated with digital nomads once that law is passed, which is what's happening in Portugal currently, because they've already got that law up and running. But could it be detrimental to the local population, people coming in earning higher salaries? Because I think one of the stipulations is going to be that people earn a minimum of €2,000 a month, which is double the minimum salary here in Spain. So if you've got all of these people coming in with, €2,000, €3,000, €4,000, €5,000 salaries, it could do what Dark Lord suggests there, increase the cost of living for locals, and then people will get upset, and there might be changes to the law, but we'll see what happens. But I'm sure that politicians have thought this through well before they introduce things like the digital nomad law, or at least I'm optimistic that that is the case. But as we all know, time will tell. Time will tell. Now, I'll put the little like icon back on the screen. We'll see if we can get 100 likes today. Might be pushing it, but you never know. I'm optimistic, as I said before. So we'll see. Now, YD coming in from a rainy and cool Pontevedra. Somebody also coming in from Vigo, also wet in that part of the world. Pontevedra, of course, is the capital of that province. Vigo, the biggest city, but not the capital. But very close to each other, I think. What is it? 20, 25 minutes by car to get to Vigo from Pontevedra. So thanks for the input there. Alan says it only took him a month to get his NIE. He has an EU passport. There we go. So it wasn't too long for Alan to get that. Let's see if we can get some more comments about that. Remy got their visa in Australia, was told to go to the police station and get the card. Took 3 months to get the card. That's what I thought. It was longer to get the card rather than the number. I thought the number would be a fairly straightforward process, but of course getting the physical little plastic card always took a little bit longer, but apparently that's not the case now. The number is difficult to get. Pat also recently got a number, I think, went to the police station without an appointment because I didn't know how to make one, gave me the number at first on a copy of the application card until the card came 2 months later. That's what I thought. Yeah, the number is fairly straightforward to get. But I'm not sure whether that person before was confusing the card with the number. Not sure. That could be the case. They might still be waiting for the TIE card, which, as we know, is necessary here in Spain to be carried at all times, just in case you get stopped by the police. And basically need it for a lot of transactions and things. When you basically everything you do here in Spain, they ask you for that number and sometimes for a copy of that TIE card. All right, good. Helen also adding to the debate, not sure how you are approaching the NIE, but it could be worth the money to ask a lawyer to do it. There we go. Or a gestor. Sometimes easier just to pay a fee, 50, 60 euros, and get somebody else to queue for you, and people that know what they're doing inside the bureaucracy. Good idea. Thanks for the input, Helen. All right, another comment. Let's get another one up on the screen. We saw that one from Dark Lord. This one here from Classic Cars. Orange fibre was our choice in Valencia. Yeah, another thing that we've been discussing a fair bit recently on the channel. Telecommunications companies here in Spain. Orange, of course, one of the big players in the market. Vodafone, Movistar, Orange. Orange has football, which is a big draw card for many people. Spanish La Liga on Orange and Vodafone. Movistar, the two that have that. And fibre cables throughout the country. I think they use the Movistar infrastructure, as many companies do. I said the other day that I changed to Digi. I'm not getting a commission from Digi for mentioning them. I should be, but I'm not. And I'm quite happy with them. And I mentioned yesterday that one of the reasons why I am happy with Digi is because everything seems to be clear and upfront, which was not the case with Vodafone. And I've got one of my old Vodafone bills here, which I was paying earlier this year, so we can see. So the total bill was 68 euros and 62 cents. Okay, good. I originally signed a contract for 55 or 56, but it went up. And then there's all of these charges that we can see in the middle. So you've got Vodafone Solución Profesional, 6 euros and 61 cents. What that is, no idea. Suscripción Tono de Espera, 75 cents. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of that. And then Vodafone Secure Net, 83 cents. So all of these additional charges are put onto your bill, which brings the total up by, as we can see here, 6, 7, under 10 euros, but it's still quite a bit to be added on. So the billing is not clear. And that's one of the reasons why I changed, because Digi, one of the things that they say is that the billing's very clear. What you sign on for is what you charge. There's none of these extra costs, which Vodafone, Movistar, and I'm sure Orange also like to add to your bill. And when you ring these companies up, the big companies like the Vodafones or the Movistars, when you ring them up, it's almost impossible to talk to somebody. You get an answering machine and there's some type of bot on the end of it, and you go through a series of questions before you get put through to somebody. The person that you get put through to sometimes has no idea what you're talking about. It's not a language thing. They're just not up to speed on what the company's operations are. And it's very, very frustrating indeed dealing with some of the bigger telecommunications operators in this country. That's why I changed, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons why a lot of people do go onto these alternatives, because they want clear invoices, they want clear services, they want a simple service, and they don't want all of these add-ons to their bill, which unfortunately is what happens with these big companies. And when you ring up to find out what it is, you just get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and then in the next month something else will come onto the bill. So it's the way they operate. But anyway, now, like button back on the screen, please. If you haven't done so, We're nearly at 100. Well, we are 101. Fantastic. We've hit the 100 mark today, which is a milestone. So thank you very much for that. All right, what else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Ronnie coming in from Benny Hoffa. Prasen saying that Brazil will win the World Cup. So we've already got 3 possible winners, Spain, Argentina, and now Brazil. I'm sure somebody will mention Germany because they're always in for a chance. John's coming in from Liverpool, wet Liverpool. Purdue is coming in from Indianapolis. And Ronnie coming in from Benny Hoffa as well. Oh, we just saw that one, a double comment there. Thanks, Ronnie, for that. And what else we got going on? Diablo. I remember when it was cheaper for a glass of house wine than for a tin of Coke in a bar. Yeah, I think it's more or less the same price. Coca-Cola very expensive in bars and restaurants here. Little bottles of Coke quite expensive. And alcohol has always been a cheaper option. That's it. All right, good. Purdue saying that they would like to take advantage of the digital nomad visa. Well, I can work from everywhere, anywhere. There we go. So maybe take advantage of that when it becomes available next year. Look into it. If you've got that flexibility of being able to work anywhere with anywhere in the world with what you do. Fantastic. Daryl, I totally agree and highlighted this already, and it's already going on in Barcelona, and with illegals working remotely and raising rents. Many YouTubers out there boasting about it. There we go. YouTubers, digital nomads, people that put content online. Raising rents. There we go. So it is happening already in Barcelona, and probably will get worse when that digital nomad visa comes through. Interesting. Thanks for the feedback there, Daryl. All right, good. Brian, will I be able to get UK TV in Spain without a VPN? Don't know, Brian. Depends if you have one of those satellite dishes on your roof or some other type of satellite. Some other type of system. If you have the Movistar, you can get content in English, but what you won't be able to get is your typical UK television, like your BBC, your ITV, and the like. You can get BBC World News on some of the digital stations here. You can get things like CNN as well, but not a lot. But let Brian know how you get your UK TV here in Spain if you don't have a VPN. Let him know. All right, good. Rioja is a favourite region of Edward's. Yeah, favourite region of mine as well. I went to Logroño a few years ago. Nice part of the country. Very, very green. And if you like wine, fantastic. That's it. Daryl's back again. One YouTuber in Barcelona thinks paying 1,800 euros for a small flat is a bargain. Depends how much the YouTuber's making. I tell you what, he must be a good YouTuber if he's making over 1,800 euros a month. I'll tell you, he must have a lot of views. All right, what else we got going on here? What else we got going on here? Igor, thanks for the stream. Thank you very much, Igor, for watching. What else we got going on? Lots of talk about the digital nomad visa, which is good to see. Peter saying that never carried ID around for the last 30 years and not even when stopped by the police. Here in Spain, Peter, or in the UK? Let us know. Because here in Spain, by law, I think you have to carry your ID around at all times, I think, and you can get fined if you don't. So be careful if you are in Spain. What else we got going on here? Jose Antonio, answering machines in Canada used to have an Indian accent. Well, here in Spain, they have a South American accent normally. The people that are on at the end of those, at the end of the line at the call centres, and of course in Australia as well, a lot of Indian people are working in the call centres. What else we got going on here? Chris saying Vodafone, 1 or 2 nuisance calls from that poxy company every day. And that was my experience as well with Vodafone, a lot of nuisance calls. But thankfully now they have come to an end. But I hear what you're saying there, Chris. I hear what you were saying. All right, good. Like button back on the screen for the last time. If you have not hit the like button, please do so just below the video. And we'll see if we can get up to 120 likes today. We're going to be finishing in a minute or so's time. So I'll start to wrap the video up. Lots of activity today in the chat section. Pat's saying here that she also has Digi, just the internet, unlimited 25 euros a month. No installation, can carry it anywhere with her. Thank you very much for that, Pat. Glad you are happy with Digi, as I am currently. Whether I'm happy with Digi in a year's time will be another story, but there's plenty of competition in the market, which is good. All right, good. And Diablo's got back to Brian. Well, it's sketchy getting UK TV in Spain. Depends where you are at. If you want it via Dish, IPTV providers can be problematic, and it gets closed down a lot due to being illegal. So there we go. But VPN probably would be the best way to go, I would say. You can tune into things like the BBC iPlayer and things similar to that. And Simon, Ghana to win the World Cup, best team in Africa. So there we go. Thank you very much, everybody, for contributing to the live stream today. Greatly appreciated. Thanks for the chats. Thanks for watching. I'll see everybody again on Sunday. I'll be back again, 7:35 p.m. Hope to see you all then. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Hasta luego. Hasta entonces. Adios. Bye-bye.